Welcome to ZenLight 8. Have you ever wondered if some relationships in your life are quietly stealing your peace and confidence? Whether it's a close friend or even a family member, sometimes stepping away is the key to protecting yourself. In today's video, we're diving into 9 clear signs it's time to let go, guided by the profound wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Join me on this journey to uncover which connections might be holding you back and how to reclaim the freedom and respect you truly deserve. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the valuable insights we share here at ZenLight 8. Let's get started. 1. Avoid people who don't spend fairly. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where you're always the one picking up the tab? Whether it's money, time, or effort, while the other person seems to have an endless list of excuses. Maybe they claim they're broke, yet you catch them splurging on themselves without a second thought. If this sounds familiar, let me tell you, this isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about fairness, respect, and whether someone truly values your presence in their life. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Today, we're diving deep into the first sign that it's time to cut ties. Avoiding people who don't spend fairly. This isn't about greed or materialism. It's about recognizing when a relationship becomes a one-way street and what you can do to protect your peace. Let's start with a question. Have you ever met someone who, right off the bat, makes a point to tell you they're strapped for cash? At first, it's easy to sympathize. Life can be tough, and we've all had moments where money's tight. But then you notice something strange. This same person, who swears they can't chip in for a coffee or a shared meal, somehow finds the funds for a weekend getaway, a shiny new gadget, or a night out with other friends. It's not about their bank account, it's about their choices. And those choices reveal a hard truth. They're not unwilling to spend, they're just unwilling to spend on you. This isn't poverty. It's calculated behavior, and it's a red flag waving right in your face. I'll share a story from my own life to paint the picture. A few years back, I had a friend. Let's call him Jake. Jake and I were tight, or so I thought. We'd hang out regularly, plan little outings, grab food together. But every time the bill came, Jake had a script ready. "Man, I'm so broke right now. Can you cover me? I'll get you next time." I didn't mind at first. I've got a generous streak, and I figured he'd return the favor eventually. But next time never came. Weeks turned into months, and I started noticing a pattern. Jake always had cash for his own stuff, new sneakers, concert tickets, even a spontaneous road trip he bragged about on social media. Yet when it came to anything involving me, his wallet mysteriously vanished. One day, we'd planned a group hike, nothing fancy, just gas money and a packed lunch. Jake texted me the night before, "I can't swing the gas this time, dude. Money's tight." Covered it, no big deal. But then, a week later, I saw him posting pics from a craft beer festival. $50 entry minimum. That was the moment it hit me. This wasn't about Jake's financial situation. It was about how little he valued our friendship. He wasn't broke, he was just cheap with me. That realization stung, but it also woke me up. I'd been pouring energy into a relationship that wasn't mutual, and it was time to rethink things. This kind of behavior isn't rare, and it's not always about money. Sometimes it's time, attention, or emotional support. Maybe you've got a friend who's always too busy to help you move, but expects you to drop everything when they need a ride. Or a family member who never calls unless they want something, yet they're nowhere to be found when you're struggling. The core issue is the same: imbalance. Relationships, whether with friends, family, or partners, thrive on mutual care. When one person's always giving and the other's always taking, it's not a connection anymore. It's a transaction, and you're the one getting shortchanged. So why do people act this way? Sometimes it's selfishness, plain and simple. They see you as a resource, not a person, a vending machine for favors, cash, or validation. Other times, it's deeper. Maybe they're insecure, hoarding their resources to feel in control. Or they've learned that people like you, kind, generous, understanding, will let it slide. Whatever the reason, their behavior sends a message. Your worth to them is tied to what you can provide, not who you are. And that's a wound to your dignity, even if it doesn't feel like it at first. Let's bring some Stoic wisdom into this. Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, said, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." He wasn't being dramatic. He was pointing out that life's full of things we can't control, like other people's actions. But what we can control is how we respond. You can't force someone to value you fairly, but you can decide whether they deserve a place in your life. That's where your power lies. When Jake kept taking without giving, I could have kept covering for him, hoping he'd change. Instead, I chose to step back. Not out of spite, but out of respect for myself. Now, I'm not saying you should ditch everyone who's ever borrowed a buck and forgotten to pay you back. We're human, mistakes happen. But there's a difference between a one-off slip and a pattern. If someone consistently dodges their share while living comfortably otherwise, that's not a mistake. It's a choice, and it's a choice that tells you where you stand. The Stoics teach us to focus on what's in our grasp, our thoughts, our actions, our boundaries. You can't make someone spend fairly, but you can stop letting them drain you. Here's another layer to consider. This isn't just about fairness in the moment, it's about what it does to you over time. When you're stuck in an unbalanced relationship, it chips away at your peace. You start second-guessing yourself. Am I being petty? Should I just let it go? You might even feel guilty for wanting reciprocity, like it's selfish to expect fairness. But here's the truth. It's not selfish to want respect. It's not greedy to demand equality. You're not a doormat, and your life shouldn't be a charity fund for people who won't lift a finger in return. I remember a conversation with my sister that flipped my perspective on this. She's a no-nonsense type, and when I vented about Jake, she didn't mince words. "Why are you still hanging out with a guy who treats you like an ATM?" she asked. I laughed it off, but it stuck with me. She was right. Every time I let Jake slide, I was telling myself my time, my money, my effort didn't matter. And the more I gave, the less he cared. That's the trap of imbalance. It doesn't just hurt your wallet. It erodes your self-worth. So how do you spot this sign in your own life? Look for the patterns. Does someone always have an excuse when it's their turn to contribute? Do they live better than their sob stories suggest? Are you left feeling used, even if you can't quite pin down why? Trust your gut. You don't need a spreadsheet to know when a relationship's lopsided. You feel it in your bones. And once you see it, don't ignore it. Excusing it once is kindness. Excusing it forever is weakness. Let's talk about what to do when you recognize this. First, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is this person capable of fairness? Or is this who they are? Sometimes people don't realize they're being unfair. They're just clueless. A gentle nudge might wake them up. I tried that with Jake once, casually saying, "Hey man, it'd be cool if we split things more evenly from now on." He laughed it off and nothing changed. That was my answer. If they double down or deflect, you've got your sign. Next, set boundaries. You don't have to cut them off cold turkey. Not yet. Test the waters. Stop offering to cover them. Say no to the next favor. Watch how they react. Do they step up, or do they vanish? Jake faded out pretty quick once I stopped footing the bill. It hurt, but it confirmed what I suspected. Our friendship was conditional, and I was the condition. That's when I knew it was time to walk away. Walking away isn't easy, especially if it's family or a longtime friend. There's guilt, nostalgia, the fear of being that person who bails. But here's where Stoic strength comes in. Your peace is worth more than their convenience. You're not abandoning them, you're choosing yourself. And the space you create is not empty for long. It fills with people who do value you, who share the load, who see you as more than a means to an end. I'll leave you with this. Fairness isn't about keeping score. It's about mutual respect. If someone can't offer that, if they hoard while you give, if they indulge themselves but skimp on you, they're not just unfair. They're ungrateful. And you deserve better. As Seneca said, no person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have, and to cheerfully put to good use what they do have. Apply that to your relationships. Let go of the takers, cherish the givers, and watch your life transform. So, what's your story? Have you dealt with someone who doesn't spend fairly? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear how you handled it. If this resonated, hit that like button and subscribe for more insights on building a life worth living. Until next time, stay strong, stay wise, and keep your peace close. 2. Avoid people who often quarrel and force you to pick sides. Have you ever been caught in a conversation that feels more like a battlefield than a chat? One minute you're talking about something simple, like where to eat or what movie to watch, and the next you're dodging verbal grenades while someone demands you take their side. If this rings a bell, you're not alone. Today, we're unpacking the second sign it's time to rethink a relationship. Avoiding people who turn everything into a fight and drag you into the chaos. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. These constant arguers don't just exhaust you, they chip away at your peace. Let's dive into why this matters, how to spot it, and what you can do to protect your calm. Picture this. You're hanging out with a friend, enjoying a casual day, when a tiny disagreement pops up. Maybe it's about politics, a plan gone sideways, or even something as trivial as who said what last week. Before you know it, the room's tense voices are raised, and they're looking at you like, well, are you with me or against me? It's not just a discussion anymore, it's a showdown and you're stuck in the crossfire. These people don't just argue for the sake of it. They thrive on conflict. They blow small issues out of proportion, and worse, they pull you in, forcing you to pick a team. It's draining, it's unnecessary, and it's a neon sign that this relationship might be more trouble than it's worth. I've been there myself. Let me take you back to a moment with a guy I'll call Tom. Tom was one of those friends who seemed cool at first, confident, opinionated, always up for a debate. But over time, I noticed something. Every hangout turned into a sparring match. One evening, a group of us were planning a weekend trip. Someone suggested a beach spot, another threw out a mountain idea. Simple enough, right? Not with Tom. He latched onto the beach plan like it was a matter of life and death, tearing into the mountain idea with a passion that made no sense. Mountains are boring. There's nothing to do. It's a waste of time, he snapped. Okay, fair opinion. Until he turned to me mid-rant and said, you agree with me, don't you? Tell them they're wrong. I froze. I didn't care either way. I just wanted to enjoy the weekend. But Tom wasn't having it. He kept pushing, his voice getting louder, until I mumbled something neutral to dodge the heat. The night ended with everyone annoyed, and I left feeling like I just run an emotional marathon. That wasn't a one-time thing with Tom. It was his default mode. Every difference of opinion was a war, and if you didn't back him up, you were the enemy. That moment stuck with me. I realized I wasn't just tired. I was losing my peace to someone who couldn't let anything go. Why do people do this? For some, it's about control. They argue to dominate, to prove they're right, because being wrong feels like a hit to their ego. For others, it's insecurity. They stir up conflict to feel alive, to mask the chaos inside them. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. They don't just wreck their own calm, they drag yours down with them. And when they force you to pick sides, it's not about teamwork, it's about loyalty to their cause. That's not a relationship. That's a power play. Let's lean on some stoic wisdom here. Epictetus said, there is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. You can't control how someone else argues or why they're obsessed with winning, but you can control whether you let it tangle up your life. Tom's constant quarrels weren't my burden to carry. I didn't have to play referee or soldier in his battles. Recognizing that was the first step to reclaiming my sanity. So what does this look like in your world? Maybe it's a friend who turns every group chat into a debate club, nitpicking every word until everyone's mad. Or a family member who can't let a holiday dinner pass without starting a shouting match, then guilts you for not jumping in. These people don't just argue, they escalate. A tiny spark becomes a wildfire, and you're left holding the bucket, trying to put it out. Worse, they make you feel like staying neutral is betrayal. That's not confidence or passion. It's emotional immaturity, and it's a thief of your tranquility. I'll give you another example. My cousin Lisa was like this. Family gatherings were her stage. One Thanksgiving, we were all chatting about some new show. Light stuff, just passing the time. Someone said they didn't like it, and Lisa pounced. That's ridiculous. It's the best thing on TV. You're just not smart enough to get it. Within minutes, she turned a throwaway comment into a full-on argument, complete with raised voices and red faces. Then she looked at me. Back me up here. Tell them they're wrong. I didn't want to. I hadn't even seen the show, but she kept pushing until I picked a side just to shut it down. Later, I thought, why am I even doing this? I wasn't there to fight. I was there to eat turkey and enjoy my family. Lisa didn't care about that. She cared about winning. That's the kicker with these types. They don't see relationships as a space for connection. They see them as arenas for conquest. And if you're not their ally, you're their opponent. It's exhausting, and over time, it wears you down. You start dreading every call, every meetup, because you know what's coming. That's not how it's supposed to be. Relationships should lift you up, not drag you into pointless wars. Here's where it gets tricky. Sometimes these people aren't all bad. Tom had his good sides, funny, loyal in his own way. Lisa's family, so cutting her out feels extreme. But good traits don't cancel out toxic habits. If someone's constantly stirring up conflict and roping you in, the cost outweighs the benefits. You're not a punching bag or a cheerleader. You're a person, and you deserve peace. So how do you handle it? First, spot the pattern. Do they argue over everything, big or small? Do they demand your support like it's your job? If yes, you've got your sign. Next, test the waters. Next time they start, don't engage. Stay calm. Change the subject or just say, I'm not getting into this. I tried that with Tom once. He was ranting about some work drama, begging me to agree his boss was a jerk. I shrugged and said, sounds rough, but I'm not picking a side. He huffed, but the fight fizzled out. Felt good, like I dodged a bullet. If they keep pushing, set a boundary. Be clear, I'm not here to argue. Let's talk about something else. With Lisa, I started doing that at family events. I'm not debating this. Pass the mashed potatoes. It didn't stop her entirely, but it kept me out of the fray. Sometimes they'll back off. Other times they'll double down, and that's your cue. If they can't respect your refusal to fight, they don't respect you. Walking away is the last step, and it's tough. Tom didn't take it well when I started pulling back. Called me disloyal, said I'd changed. Lisa still grumbles if I don't play her game. But here's the stoic truth. You're not here to fix them. You're here to live well. Seneca said, life is long if you know how to use it. Wasting it on endless quarrels isn't living, it's surviving. Letting go doesn't mean you hate them. It means you love yourself more. The payoff? Peace. Once I distanced myself from Tom, I stopped feeling like every hangout was a trial. With Lisa, I enjoy family time again by keeping her chaos at arm's length. You don't realize how heavy conflict is until you drop it. And when you do, you make room for people who talk instead of shout, who connect instead of conquer. So where are you at with this? Got someone in your life who's always picking a fight and dragging you in? Comment below. I'd love to hear how you've dealt with it. If this hit home, hit like and subscribe for more on building a life of calm and clarity. Until next time, keep your peace close and your battles few. 3. Avoid people who take other people's worries lightly. Have you ever opened up to someone about something weighing on your heart? Something real, something heavy, only to have them brush it off like it's nothing? Maybe they didn't outright laugh, but their response left you feeling small, like your struggles don't matter. If that's happened to you, you know how much it stings. Today, we're exploring the third sign it's time to reconsider a relationship. Avoiding people who dismiss your worries while fixating on their own. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When someone can't respect your burdens, it's not just a lack of empathy. It's a crack in the foundation of trust. Let's unpack why this matters, how it shows up, and how to protect your peace. Imagine this, you're going through a rough patch. Maybe work's a mess, or you're juggling family stress, and you turn to someone you trust. You pour out your heart, hoping for a listening ear, maybe a shred of understanding. But instead of support, you get a shrug. That's not a big deal, they say, or worse, They pivot straight to their own problems, as if yours don't even register. It's not just disappointing, it's a gut punch. Your worries aren't trivial to you. They're real, they're heavy, and having them waved away doesn't just hurt. It makes you question the relationship entirely. I felt this firsthand. A while back, I was dealing with a tough stretch. My dad was sick, and I was splitting my time between hospital visits and a demanding job. It was one of those seasons where every day felt like a marathon, and I was running on fumes. I confided in a friend, let's call her Emily, someone I'd known for years. I told her how hard it was, how I was barely holding it together. Her response? Oh, that's rough. But you think that's bad? My boss has been on my case all week. I'm so stressed I can't sleep. And just like that, my story was sidelined. She didn't ask how I was coping, didn't offer a kind word, just flipped the spotlight back to herself. I walked away from that conversation not just hurt, but hollow. It wasn't about her having a bad week. Everyone does. It was about her complete indifference to mine. That's the thing with people who take your worries lightly. It's not always malice. Sometimes it's just selfishness or a blind spot. But the effect is the same. They diminish you. Your struggles, no matter how big or small, are part of your life's tapestry. When someone can't see that, when they trample over your pain to prop up their own, they're not just lacking compassion. They're showing you where you stand. And it's nowhere near equal. Why does this happen? Sometimes it's a power thing. They need to feel like their problems are bigger, more important, because that's how they measure their worth. Other times, it's a lack of emotional depth. They can't handle your vulnerability, so they deflect. Whatever drives it, the result is a relationship that feels one-sided. You're there for them, listening, nodding, caring. But when it's your turn, the stage is empty. That's not a connection. That's a monologue, and you're just the audience. Let's bring in some Stoic wisdom. Epictetus taught us, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. You can't control how someone reacts to your worries. Emily wasn't going to suddenly become empathetic because I wished it. But you can control what you do with that. I could have kept chasing her validation, spilling my guts again and again, hoping she'd get it. Instead, I started asking, why am I letting this drain me? The Stoics remind us to focus on what's ours, our reactions, our boundaries. When someone dismisses your struggles, you don't have to convince them they're wrong. You can walk away. So how do you spot this in your own life? Look for the signs. Do they interrupt your story to one-up you with theirs? Do they glaze over when you talk about what's hard, only perking up when it's their turn? Do you leave conversations feeling unheard, maybe even a little ashamed for caring about your own stuff? I saw it with Emily over time. Every time I shared something tough, a work setback, a family worry, she'd nod vaguely, then launch into her own saga. It wasn't a talk. It was a competition, and I was losing every round. Here's another angle, my coworker Mike. Mike was the king of downplaying. Once, I told him I was anxious about a big presentation. Sweaty palms, sleepless nights, the works. His reply, it's just a talk. I've got a deadline that's way worse. Clients breathing down my neck. No, good luck. No, you've got this. Just a quick pivot to his own stress. First, I brushed it off, but it kept happening. My worries were speed bumps. His were mountains. Over time, I stopped sharing. Why bother? He didn't care, and that realization hit harder than the anxiety itself. This isn't about expecting everyone to coddle you. Life's messy, and we all need to vent sometimes. But there's a difference between mutual support and a one-way street. Relationships thrive on respect, on seeing each other's struggles as valid, even if they're different. When someone can't do that, it's not just rude, it's toxic. It erodes trust because if they don't care about your lows, how can you count on them for anything else? And worse, it makes you smaller. You start doubting your own feelings, wondering if you're overreacting. That's not peace, that's erosion. So what's the cost of sticking around these people? It's more than a bruised ego. It's your energy, your confidence, your ability to lean on others when you need to. With Emily, I kept trying for a while, thinking maybe I hadn't explained it right, maybe she'd come around, but every brush off left me emptier. Same with Mike. I'd vent, He'd dismiss, and I'd end up feeling worse than before. That's the trap. You give them your trust, they toss it aside, and you're left picking up the pieces. Over time, it's not just the relationship that suffers. It's you. How do you break free? Start by noticing. Next time you share something tough, watch their reaction. Do they listen, or do they leapfrog to their own woes? Do they offer a crumb of care, or just a blank stare? I tested this with Emily once after my dad's health took another dip. I said, "I'm really worried about him. It's been rough." She sighed, "Yeah, that sucks. But I'm swamped at work. Total nightmare." No follow-up, no empathy, just her script. That was my answer. Next, set a boundary. You don't have to confront them head-on. Not yet. Just pull back. Share less, lean elsewhere. I stopped going to Emily with anything real, kept it light, surface level. Same with Mike, work talk only, no heart stuff. If they notice, they might step up. If they don't, you've lost nothing. Most likely, they won't even blink. Emily didn't, and Mike sure didn't. That's your sign. They're not in it for you. Walking away is the final move, and it's not easy. Emily was a longtime friend. Years of memories, shared laughs. Mike was a daily fixture at work. But here's the stoic truth. Your peace matters more than their presence. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." I'd imagined Emily would eventually get it, that Mike might care if I pushed harder. But reality showed otherwise. Letting go wasn't abandoning them, it was honoring myself. I didn't cut them off with a big speech, just faded out, redirected my energy to people who listen. The reward? Clarity. Without Emily's dismissals, I found friends who actually heard me. People who asked, "How are you holding up?" and meant it. With Mike out of my emotional orbit, I stopped second-guessing my own stress. You don't realize how much weight you're carrying until you drop it. And when you do, you make space for connections that lift you up, not shrink you down. So where do you stand? Got someone who brushes off your worries like dust? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear how you've navigated it. If this struck a chord, hit like and subscribe for more on building a life rooted in respect and calm. Until next time, guard your heart, value your struggles, and keep your peace close. 4. Avoid anyone who enforces your religious or political beliefs. Have you ever felt cornered in a conversation, like someone's trying to shove their beliefs down your throat? Whether it's about God, government, or the right way to live. Maybe they don't just share their views, they demand you adopt them too, as if your own thoughts don't count. If that hits home, you're not alone. Today, we're diving into the 4th sign it's time to rethink a relationship. Avoiding people who force their religious or political beliefs on you. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When someone can't respect your differences, it's not just pushy. It's a fracture in the bond. Let's explore why this wears you down, how it shows up, and how to reclaim your peace. Think about it. Relationships are supposed to be a meeting of minds, a place where differences enrich rather than divide. But then there's that person, the one who turns every chat into a sermon or a stump speech. They're not interested in dialogue. They want converts. Maybe it's a friend who insists their faith is the only path, dismissing yours as misguided. Or a family member who rants about politics, expecting you to nod along or else. It's not about sharing, it's about control. And when they push, it doesn't just spark tension. It drains you, leaving you exhausted from a fight you didn't sign up for. I've been there. Let me tell you about a guy I'll call Ryan. Ryan and I go way back. High school buddies, late night talks, the works. He was always into his religion, which I respected. I've got my own beliefs, a mix of personal spirituality and skepticism, and for years we coexisted fine. But somewhere along the line, things shifted. Every time we hung out, he'd steer the conversation to his faith. Not to discuss, but to preach. "You'd be so much happier if you just accepted this," he'd say, or, "I don't get why you're still on the fence. It's so clear." First, I'd debate him, explain my side. But he didn't listen. He'd double down, quoting scripture, acting like my perspective was a problem to fix. It wasn't a talk anymore. It was a mission. One night, over beers, he hit me with, You're wasting your life without this. I'm worried about your soul. I laughed it off, but inside, I was done. I didn't need saving, I needed respect. That moment stuck with me. Ryan wasn't seeing me as a friend, he saw me as a project. And every push left me more drained, like I'd spent hours defending my right to think for myself. This isn't just about religion, politics can do it too. My Uncle Dave's the poster child for that. Family dinners used to be fun until he got hooked on cable news. Suddenly, every meal was a lecture. His party was right, everyone else was clueless, and if you didn't agree, you were part of the problem. One Thanksgiving, I mentioned a policy I liked from the other side. Big mistake. He launched into a tirade, slamming the table, demanding I wake up. When I held my ground, he said, "I can't believe you're this naive." It wasn't a discussion, it was a demand for surrender. I left that night feeling less like family and more like a punching bag. Why do people do this? Sometimes it's conviction. They're so sure they're right. They think it's their duty to fix you. Other times, it's ego. They need you to agree to feel validated. Either way, it's not about you. It's about them. And that's the rub. They don't respect your autonomy. Differences aren't a bridge to understanding. They're a flaw to erase. The Stoics saw this clearly. Epictetus said, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." You can't control their crusade, but you can control whether you let it consume you. I couldn't make Ryan or Dave see my side, but I could decide how much of their noise I'd take. So how does this show up in your life? Maybe it's a coworker who won't drop the election talk, guilting you if you don't cheer their candidate. Or a friend who sends you religious texts, insisting you're lost without them. It's not the belief itself, it's the pressure. They don't ask what you think. They tell you what you should think. And if you resist, it's not pretty arguments, judgment, maybe even a cold shoulder. With Ryan, every no from me sparked a lecture. With Dave, dissent meant I was brainwashed. It's not connection, it's coercion. Here's the toll. It's exhausting. You're not just defending your views, you're defending your right to have them. Every talk becomes a test, and even if you win, you lose. I'd leave Ryan's rants irritated, replaying them in my head, wondering if I should have said more. After Dave's outbursts, I dread the next family event. That's not peace, that's a war of attrition. And over time, it erodes more than the relationship. It hits your spirit. You start avoiding tough topics, shrinking yourself to keep the peace. That's not living. It's surviving. Let's ground this in Stoic wisdom. Seneca wrote, "No person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have." I couldn't force Ryan to accept my beliefs or Dave to chill out, but I could stop wanting their approval. That shift was freedom. I didn't need them to sign off on my mind. I needed to sign off on theirs. So how do you spot this? Look for the push. Do they share their views and let it be? Or do they press until you cave? Do they listen when you disagree or steamroll you? With Ryan, it was the follow-ups. Texts, calls, just checking if you've thought it over. With Dave, it was the volume, louder meant righter. If they can't drop it, if they make your beliefs a battleground, that's your sign. And it's not about who's right. It's about respect. They don't have to agree, but they do have to let you be. What do you do about it? First, test the waters. Next time they push, deflect. I tried it with Ryan once. He started his usual pitch, and I said, "Cool. I get where you're at, but I'm good where I am." No debate, just a line in the sand. He paused, then kept going. Same with Dave. I'd say, "I hear you, but I see it differently," and he'd still rant. If they back off, great. If not, you've got clarity. Next, set a boundary. Be firm but calm. "I'm not here to argue beliefs. Let's talk about something else." I told Ryan, "I value our friendship, but I'm not changing my mind, and I don't need you to change yours. Can we move on?" He didn't love it, but it cut the preaching short. With Dave, I'd switch topics. "How's the food?" And if he persisted, I'd step away. It's not about winning. It's about opting out. Walking away is the last call, and it's heavy. Ryan was a piece of my past. Losing him felt like losing a chapter. Dave's family, so cutting ties isn't simple. But here's the stoic truth. Your harmony trumps their agenda. I didn't ghost Ryan, I just stopped engaging the deep stuff. We drifted, and that was okay. With Dave, I limit exposure, short visits, neutral ground. It's not hate, it's self-respect. As Epictetus put it, it's not things that upset us, but our judgment about them. I judged their pressure wasn't worth my peace. The payoff? Relief. Without Ryan's sermons, I stopped feeling like a fixer-upper. Dodging Dave's tirades, I enjoy family time again. You don't realize how much they're pushing ways until you shrug it off. And that space? It fills with people who let you breathe, folks who share without dictating, who value your mind as it is. So, what's your take? Got someone shoving their beliefs your way? Comment below. I'd love to hear how you've handled it. If this resonates, hit like and subscribe for more on crafting a life of freedom and calm. Until next time, hold your ground, respect your differences, and keep your peace close. 5. Avoid friends who make you feel distressed. Have you ever noticed a shift in a friendship, where someone who once lit up your day now leaves you feeling off, uneasy, or just plain drained? It's not always a big blowout or a betrayal. Sometimes it's subtler, a quiet disconnect that creeps in over time. Today, we're digging into the 5th sign it's time to rethink a relationship. Avoiding friends who make you feel distressed when you're around them. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. If a friend no longer brings joy but instead stirs unease, it might mean you've grown apart, and stepping back could be the wisest move. Let's explore why this happens, how it feels, and how to protect your peace. Think about the friends who used to feel like home. You'd laugh until your sides hurt, share secrets in the dark, dream about the future together. But then something changes. Maybe life pulls you in different directions, or your values start to drift. The next time you see them, that old spark's gone. Conversations feel forced, silences stretch too long, and instead of excitement, you're left with a vague discomfort. Like you're trying to fit into shoes that don't match your stride anymore. It's not their fault or yours. It's just time doing its work. And yet, letting go feels hard until you realize holding on is harder. I've lived this. Let me take you back to my friend Sam. We were inseparable in college, roommates, road trip partners, the kind of duo who'd finish each other's sentences. Back then, hanging out with Sam was effortless. Hours would fly by over cheap pizza and big plans. But after graduation, life split us. I moved to the city, chasing a career. He stayed in our hometown, settling into a quieter rhythm. For a while, we kept up, texts, calls, the occasional visit. But over time, those meetups changed. The last time I saw him, we grabbed coffee, and it was off. He talked about his routine, same job, same bar, same stories. I shared my latest project, my new life. He nodded, but his eyes glazed over. I tried cracking our old jokes. He barely smiled. Driving home, I felt it. A knot in my chest, a mix of sadness and unease. This wasn't the Sam I knew, and I wasn't the guy he remembered. We'd grown apart, not with a fight, but with years. Seeing him didn't lift me up. It left me restless, like I'd failed to revive something that wasn't there anymore. That's when I realized, distress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper, telling you the rhythm's off, and forcing it only makes it worse. This isn't about blame. People evolve, interests shift, priorities realign. The friend who once matched your energy might now feel like a stranger. Not because they're bad, but because you're on different paths. And that's okay, except when you keep pretending it's not. When every hangout leaves you unsettled instead of refreshed, that's your cue. Relationships should feel like a dance, not a tug of war. If you're stumbling instead of swaying, it's not about fixing them. It's about honoring where you both are. Let's lean on some stoic wisdom. Epictetus said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." I couldn't control Sam's life or rewind us to college. I couldn't make him the friend I missed. But I could control how I responded, whether I kept chasing a ghost or let it fade. That's the stoic gift. Accepting what's gone and choosing what stays. Distress signals change, and ignoring it just prolongs the ache. So how does this show up for you? Maybe it's a friend whose calls you start dodging, not out of anger, but because they leave you off balance. Or someone you see out of habit, but each time you're counting the minutes until it's over. With Sam, it was the small stuff, his disinterest in my stories, the way he'd steer us back to nostalgia instead of the present. I'd leave feeling distant, like we were speaking different languages. It wasn't hostility, just a gap we couldn't bridge. That's the sign. When joy turns to discomfort, when connection feels like work. Here's another layer, my old coworker Jen. We bonded over late nights at the office, griping about deadlines and dreaming of better days. After I switched jobs, we'd still meet up until we didn't. Last time, she spent an hour venting about her same old gripes, barely asking about me. I left irritated, not inspired. It wasn't her whining, it was the disconnect. She was stuck, I'd moved on. Hanging out didn't recharge me, it rattled me. That unease wasn't random. It was a message. Why does this matter? Because it's more than a bad vibe. It's your peace at stake. When a friend stirs distress, it lingers. You replay the awkward silences, question why you're not clicking, maybe even feel guilty for pulling away. With Sam, I'd beat myself up. Am I being unfair? Should I try harder? Same with Jen. Maybe I'm just too busy for her. But here's the truth. You're not obligated to force it. Life's too short to cling to ties that drag you down, even if they once held you up. The cost of ignoring this? Exhaustion. I kept meeting Sam, hoping the old magic would kick in. It didn't, just more stilted chats and that nagging knot. With Jen, I'd grit my teeth through her rants, then crash later, drained. It's not dramatic. It's a slow bleed. You lose time, energy, and the chance for real connection elsewhere. And worse, you start doubting yourself. Am I the problem? No, you're just out of sync, and that's not a failing, it's a fact. So how do you handle it? First, listen to the feeling. Next time you see them, check in. Am I happy here or just here? With Sam, I noticed the dread creeping in before each meetup. With Jen, it was the relief when plans fell through. That's your body talking. Don't shrug it off. Second, test the shift. Pull back a bit, skip a hangout, delay a reply. See how it feels. I stopped pushing with Sam, let weeks stretch to months. The unease faded. The guilt didn't spike. Same with Jen, less contact, less stress. If they reach out, you'll know where they stand. If not, you've got your answer. Setting a boundary comes next. You don't need a big breakup, just space. I told Sam, life's crazy right now. Let's catch up later. Vague, kind, true enough. With Jen, I kept it light. I'm swamped, but I'll hit you up when I'm free. No fight, no fuss, just a step back. They didn't chase me down, and that was telling. Sometimes they'll fade naturally. Other times, you'll need to decide how far to go. Walking away fully is the last move, and it's bittersweet. Sam was my history. Letting him go felt like closing a book. Jen was a chapter I'd outgrown. But here's the stoic lens. Seneca said, life is long if you know how to use it. Clinging to distress isn't living. It's stalling. I didn't cut them off with a speech. Just let time do its thing. Sam's a memory now, Jen's a distant nod. It's not loss, it's release. The reward? Calm. Without Sam's shadow, I found friends who fit my now. People who spark joy, not strain. Dropping Jen open space for talks that lift me up. You don't see how much distress weighs until it's gone. And that gap, it fills with connections that flow, not falter. So where are you at? Got a friend who leaves you uneasy instead of energized? Comment below. I'd love to hear how you've navigated it. If this rings true, hit like and subscribe for more on building a life of peace and purpose. Until next time, trust your gut, honor your growth, and keep your calm close. 6. Avoid those who continue to complain about themselves. Have you ever felt like someone's personal dumping ground? Like every time you talk, they unload a truckload of complaints, leaving you buried under their mess? It's not just venting. It's a one-sided barrage that ignores your own struggles, sucking the air out of the room and your energy with it. Today, we're tackling the 6th sign it's time to rethink a relationship. Avoiding those who constantly complain about themselves without a care for how it lands on you. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When someone turns you into their emotional landfill, it's not support, it's exploitation. Let's dive into why this drains you, how it shows up, and how to reclaim your peace. Picture this. You're catching up with a friend, hoping for a real conversation, maybe even a chance to share what's on your plate. But before you can get a word in, they launch into a litany of woes. Their job's awful, their partner's a jerk, their life's a disaster, and it goes on. You nod, you listen, you try to help, but they don't ask about you. They don't pause. It's a monologue and you're just the audience. Worse, it's not a one-off, they do this every time. You leave feeling heavy, not heard, like you've been a sponge for their negativity. That's not friendship. It's a burden, and it's one you don't have to carry. I've been there. Let me tell you about Sarah, a coworker I used to be tight with. Back when we shared an office, we'd vent together, work stress, life stuff, the usual. It was mutual, a give and take that felt balanced. But then my mom got sick, really sick, and I was juggling hospital runs with a brutal workload. I was fraying at the edges, desperate for a lifeline. Sarah, though, didn't notice. Every day, she'd plop down and unload. My boss is unbearable. My commute's a nightmare. I'm so done. I'd listen, even when I was drowning, hoping she'd ask how I was holding up. She never did. One time, I tried steering it, mentioned my mom's surgery. She said, "Oh, that's tough," then pivoted right back. Anyway, my husband forgot the groceries again. That hit me hard. I was crumbling and she didn't see it or didn't care. She wasn't there for me. She was there to dump. Another day, after a rough night at the hospital, she called to complain I hadn't texted back fast enough. I snapped, "Sarah, I can't keep up with this. I've got too much going on." Silence, then distance. It hurt, but it woke me up. She wasn't seeking connection. She was using me as her emotional trash can, and I'd let it go on too long. This isn't about shutting out everyone who's sad. We all need to vent sometimes. Life's messy, and a good friend listens. But there's a line. When someone's complaints are endless, when they don't care how you're faring, it's not sharing, it's selfishness. They're not leaning on you, they're unloading on you. And that difference, it's everything. A real relationship has room for both of you, your highs, your lows. When it's all them all the time, you're not a friend, you're a receptacle. Why do they do it? Sometimes it's habit, they've learned people will listen, so they keep pouring. Other times it's deeper. Maybe they're stuck, too scared to fix what's wrong, so they wallow instead. Whatever the cause, the effect is the same. They drain you. Sarah didn't want solutions. She wanted an ear. And when I couldn't keep giving, she faded. That's the tell. If they only stick around when you're absorbing, they're not in it for you. Let's ground this in Stoic wisdom. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." I couldn't stop Sarah's whining. It was her choice, but I could stop letting it sink me. I'd been viewing her as a friend who'd eventually reciprocate, but that was my mistake. The Stoics teach us to focus on what's ours, our reactions, our limits. When someone's complaints swamp you, you don't have to fix them, you can walk away. So how does this look in your life? Maybe it's a friend who texts you daily with the same gripes, job, love, whatever, never asking about you. Or a relative who corners you at every gathering, unloading their misery while you bite your tongue. With Sarah, it was the relentlessness. Every talk was her stage, my role silent. I'd leave exhausted, not uplifted. That's the sign. When they dump without lifting, when your feelings don't register, it's a red flag. Here's another angle, my neighbor Paul. Paul's a chronic complainer, his yard, his bills, his health. At first, I'd stop and chat, offer a sympathetic nod. But it never stopped. One day, I was reeling from a work crisis. Layoffs looming, stress through the roof. Paul caught me outside, launched into his usual. The city's gouging me on taxes, my back's killing me. I cut in, "Paul, I'm having a rough one. Can we skip this today?" He blinked, mumbled something, then kept going. I walked away mid-sentence. He didn't care, I was just his sounding board. That's the cost. Your energy, your space, your voice. With Sarah, I trudge home depleted, her woes echoing in my head while mine stayed bottled. With Paul, I dodge the mailbox to avoid him. It's not just tiring, it's isolating. You stop sharing because they don't hear, and that silence festers. Over time, it's not just the relationship that suffers. It's your spirit. You're not a therapist or a landfill. You're a person, and you deserve better. So what do? First, notice the pattern. Is every talk a complaint session? Do they ask about you or just steamroll? With Sarah, it was clockwork. 5 minutes in, her list started. Paul was the same. Never a "how's your day?" Second, test it. Next time, shift the focus. Share something small, see if they bite. I tried with Sarah. Mom's surgery went okay, but I'm wiped. She glossed over it. Paul? I mentioned my job stress. He didn't flinch. If they don't pivot, you've got your sign. Next, set a boundary. You don't need a showdown, just a limit. I told Sarah, I can't keep doing this. I need support too. She didn't get it, but it cut the flood. With Paul, I'd say, gotta run, catch you later, and bolt. If they push, stand firm. I'm not up for this right now. They might sulk. Sarah did, Paul grumbled, but that's on them. You're not their crutch. Walking away is the final step, and it's tough. Sarah was a piece of my past. Letting her go felt like losing a thread. Paul's still next door, so it's more distance than a clean break. But here's the stoic truth. Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. I'd imagined Sarah would balance out, that Paul might ease up. Reality said no. Fading from Sarah was a slow drift, no fight, just less. With Paul, it's a wave, not a talk. It's not anger, it's self-care. The payoff? Lightness. Without Sarah's weight, I found friends who share, not just take. People who ask, how are you? And mean it. Dodging Paul, I keep my head clear. You don't see how much their complaints drag until you're free. And that space? It fills with connections that flow both ways, not one. So what's your story? Got someone dumping their woes on you nonstop? Comment below. I'd love to hear how you've handled it. If this hits home, hit like and subscribe for more on building a life of balance and calm. Until next time, guard your energy, lift your voice, and keep your peace close. 7. Avoid people who take promises lightly or break them easily. Have you ever waited on someone, counting on their word, only to be left hanging with a flimsy excuse, or worse, nothing at all? It's not just the inconvenience that stings. It's the realization that their promise meant more to you than it did to them. Today, we're diving into the 7th sign it's time to reconsider a relationship. Avoiding people who take promises lightly or break them without a second thought. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When someone's word becomes worthless, it's not just trust that crumbles. It's your sense of worth in their eyes. Let's unpack why this hurts, how it shows up, and how to protect your peace. Imagine this. You've made plans, nothing huge, maybe coffee or a favor, and they say, I'll be there. You clear your schedule, you wait, you trust. Then they don't show. No call, no text, just silence or maybe a breezy, oh, I forgot. Sorry. Hours later. It's not about the missed meetup. It's about what it says. A promise isn't just words. It's a commitment, a signal of respect. When someone breaks it casually or forgets it entirely, it's like they're saying you're an afterthought. That's not a slip-up. It's a slap to your dignity, and it cuts deeper than you might think. I felt this sting. Let me tell you about my friend Claire. Claire was one of those people who'd light up a room. Funny, warm, always up for something. We'd plan little outings, lunch, a movie, whatever, and she'd swear she was in. But then she'd flake. One time, I waited at a cafe, our spot, sipping coffee alone for an hour. I texted her, you on your way? Nothing. Finally, she replied, totally spaced. Sorry. Got caught up. Caught up doing what? I saw her Instagram later, brunch with someone else. It wasn't the first time. Claire had a habit of bailing, always with a shrug. Next time, she'd say. But next time never came. That day at the cafe stuck with me. I wasn't mad about the coffee, I was hurt by the pattern. She'd promise, I'd believe, she'd ditch. And every time I'd feel smaller, like my time, my trust didn't matter. Another moment sealed it. I asked her to grab some stuff for a group event. Nothing big, just a quick errand. I've got it, she said. Day of. She showed up empty-handed. Oh, I forgot. My bad. Everyone scrambled and I took the hit. That wasn't forgetfulness, it was carelessness. Claire didn't mean to hurt me, but her broken promises spoke louder than her apologies. This isn't about perfection. Life happens, plans fall through, emergencies pop up. But there's a difference between a rare miss and a habit. When someone consistently breaks their word, or worse, acts like it's no big deal, they're showing you where you rank. Promises are the glue of trust. When they're flimsy, the bond frays. It's not just inconvenience, it's disrespect. And over time, that erodes more than the relationship. It chips at your faith in people. Why do they do it? Sometimes it's laziness, they overcommit, then dodge the fallout. Other times, it's deeper. Maybe they don't value you enough to follow through. With Claire, it felt like both. She'd say yes to everything, then pick what suited her, leaving me in the dust. Intentional or not, the message was clear. I wasn't a priority. And that's the gut punch. Realizing you're disposable to someone you'd move mountains for. Let's bring in some Stoic wisdom. Epictetus said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." I couldn't make Claire keep her word. Her choices were hers. But I could stop banking on them. I'd been clinging to the idea she'd change, that her sorry meant something. The Stoics teach us to focus on what's ours, our expectations, our boundaries. When someone's promises turn to smoke, you don't have to keep breathing it in. So how does this play out in your life? Maybe it's a friend who cancels last minute, every time, with excuses thinner than tissue. Or a family member who vows to help, then doesn't, leaving you scrambling. With Claire, it was clockwork. Plans made, plans broken, me waiting. Another friend, Mark, did it differently. He'd promise big, "I'll fix your car. I'll be there by 10, then vanish. No heads up, just a text later. Something came up. I'd be stuck, and he'd act like it was nothing. That's the sign. When their words unreliable, when you're left holding the bag. Here's another angle, my cousin Tara. She'd swear she'd call. "I'll check in tomorrow, promise." Then silence. Once, I needed her. Bad day, rough news, and she said, "I'll be over tonight." I waited. She didn't show. Next day, "Oh, I got busy." Busy with what? Her life, not mine. It wasn't the no-show, it was the casualness. She didn't see how it landed, how it made me feel invisible. That's the wound. Not just the broken promise, but the indifference behind it. The cost? More than time. It's trust, energy, self-worth. With Claire, I dread plans. Would she show? Or would I sit there like a fool? With Mark, I stopped asking, why bother? Tara's flakes left me wary, guarding my hopes. It's a slow burn, you doubt them, then yourself. Am I expecting too much? Should I let it go? But here's the truth. Expecting reliability isn't too much. It's the baseline. When they can't meet it, you're not the problem, they are. So what do you do? First, spot the habit. Do they break promises often? Is sorry their default with no change? Claire's track record was glaring. More no-shows than follow-throughs. Mark's big talk never matched his actions. Tara's calls never came. Second, test it. Make a small ask, something easy, and see if they deliver. I tried with Claire. Meet me at 2. Just 30 minutes. She didn't. Mark, drop by with that tool tomorrow? Nope. Tara, call me tonight? Crickets. If they fail the small stuff, the big stuff's a pipe dream. Next, set a boundary. Call it out. Calmly. I need people I can count on. Can you step up? I told Claire, I can't keep waiting on you. It's wearing me out. She laughed it off, answer enough. With Mark, I said, if you can't do it, just say no up front. He nodded, then flaked again. Tara got, I need you to mean it when you promise. She didn't. If they don't shift, They've shown you their limit. Walking away is the last step, and it's heavy. Claire was a spark in my life. Fading her out felt like dimming a light. Mark was a buddy. Tara's family. But here's the stoic lens. Seneca said, "Life is long if you know how to use it. Wasting it on broken promises isn't living. It's waiting." I didn't cut Claire cold, just stopped planning. Mark drifted when I quit asking. Tara's still around, but I don't lean on her. It's not spite, it's survival. The reward? Clarity. Without Claire's flakes, I found friends who show up, people who say it and mean it. Mark's absence freed me from chasing. Tara's distance taught me to rely on the reliable. You don't see how much their unreliability weighs until it's gone. And that space fills with trust, not doubt. So where are you? Got someone breaking promises left and right? Comment below. I'd love to hear how you've dealt with it. If this resonates, hit like and subscribe for more on building a life of trust and calm. Until next time, value your word, expect theirs, and keep your peace close. 8. Avoid people who keep talking about the same worries without resolving them. Have you ever listened to someone spin the same tale of woe over and over, like a broken record that never gets fixed? They complain, you comfort, maybe even offer advice, but nothing changes. Weeks later, it's the same story, word for word, and you're stuck wondering why you're still here. Today, we're unpacking the 8th sign it's time to rethink a relationship. Avoiding people who repeat the same worries without ever addressing them. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When someone's stuck in a loop, seeking sympathy instead of solutions, it's not just stagnant. It's a drain on your spirit. Let's dive into why this traps you, how it feels, and how to break free for your peace. Imagine this. A friend calls you up, voice heavy, unloading their latest grievance. Same as last time and the time before that. Maybe it's their job, their love life, their endless bad luck. You listen, you care, you toss out ideas. Have you tried this? What about that? They nod, maybe say they'll think it over, but next week they're back with the exact same script. No progress, no effort, just more of the same. It's not that you don't want to help. It's that they don't want to move. You're not a partner in their growth. You're a pillow for their pity. That's not connection, it's a cycle, and it's one that wears you thin. I've been caught in this. Let me tell you about Lisa, a friend from my old job. Lisa hated her gig. Long hours, rude boss, no appreciation. Fair complaints, and at first I was all ears. We'd grab coffee and she'd vent. "I can't stand it anymore. I'm done." I'd jump in. "Why not update your resume? Look for something else." She'd agree, say it was a great idea, and I'd feel good, like I'd helped. But then, a month later, same coffee shop, same rant. My boss chewed me out again. "I'm so over this." I'd ask, "Did you apply anywhere?" She'd shrug. "Not yet, too tired." This went on for years. Same worries, same excuses, no change. One day it clicked. Lisa didn't want out. She wanted comfort. My advice, my time, my energy, they weren't tools for her. They were fuel for her loop. I'd leave those talks frustrated, not fulfilled, like I'd spend an hour pushing a boulder uphill just for it to roll back down. Another time she called late, unloading the same spiel. I tried to nudge. "Lisa, we've talked about this. What's stopping you?" She got quiet, then deflected. "You don't get how hard it is." That stung. Not because I didn't care, but because I'd poured so much in, and she wouldn't budge. I wasn't helping her. I was feeding her stasis. This isn't about judging someone's struggles. Life's tough. We all get stuck sometimes, and a friend's ear can be a lifeline. But there's a difference between processing and wallowing. When someone keeps circling the same worries, not acting, not listening, just soaking up your sympathy, it's not mutual. It's a trap. You're not lifting them up. You're holding them steady while they sink you, too. Relationships should grow, not spin in place. Why do they do it? Sometimes it's fear, change is scary, so they cling to the familiar, even if it's misery. Other times, it's laziness. They'd rather complain than act. With Lisa, it felt like both. She'd moan about her job, but dodge every step to leave it. Sympathy was easier than effort, and I was her supplier. Intentional or not, it's a pattern. They lean on you to feel better, not to be better. And that's the drain. Your care becomes their crutch, not their catalyst. Let's anchor this in Stoic wisdom. Epictetus said, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." I couldn't fix Lisa's loop, her choices were hers. But I could stop crying over it. I'd been seeing her as someone I could save, but that was my misstep. The Stoics teach us to focus on what's ours, our effort, our limits. When someone's stuck and won't move, you don't have to keep spinning with them. So how does this show up for you? Maybe it's a friend who gripes about their partner every call. Same fights, same tears, but brushes off your maybe talk to them? Or a sibling who whines about money, yet ignores your budgeting tips. With Lisa, it was the repetition. Every chat, same job woes, same inaction. Another friend, Tom, did it with his health. Endless complaints about his weight, but my "let's walk together" got a "yeah, maybe," then nothing. That's the sign. When they're stuck on repeat, when your words bounce off, it's a dead end. Here's another take, my cousin Ellie. She'd lament her lonely social life. "No one invites me out," and I'd suggest, "Host something small." She'd nod. Then next time, "Still no friends." I'd ask, "Did you try?" She'd say, "Not yet, too shy." Over and over, same worry, no shift. I'd leave those talks deflated. Not because I didn't care, but because I couldn't carry her forward. She wanted my ear, not my help, and that gap wore me out. The cost? More than time. It's your spirit, your hope, your energy. With Lisa, I dread her calls. Knowing I'd hear the same song, knowing I'd try and fail to shift it. Tom's health rants left me restless. I'd offer, he'd stall, and I'd feel useless. Ellie's loneliness loop made me question my advice. Am I even helping? It's a slow grind, you give, they take, and nothing grows. Over time, it's not just the relationship that stalls. It's you, tangled in their inertia. So what do? First, spot the cycle. Do they repeat the same worries endlessly? Do they dodge your suggestions or deflect? Lisa's job saga never evolved. Same script, different day. Tom's weight woes stayed static. Ellie's loneliness was a broken record. Second, test it. Next time, push a little, offer a concrete step and watch. I told Lisa, apply to one job this week. Let me know. She didn't. Tom, walk with me tomorrow? Nope. Ellie, invite one person over. Try it. Nada. If they won't budge, you've got your clue. Next, set a boundary. Be honest, not harsh. I want to help, but we're stuck here. Can we move forward? I told Lisa, I can't keep circling this. If you want change, I'm here, but not for more of the same. She bristled, but it cut the loop. Tom got, I'm here if you act, not just to vent. Ellie, I'll support you doing something, not just talking. If they balk. Lisa did, Tom faded, Ellie pouted, that's their choice. You're not their echo chamber. Walking away is the final call, and it's tough. Lisa was a work pal. Letting her drift felt like losing a piece of that era. Tom was a laugh, Ellie's family. But here's the stoic truth. Seneca said, life is long if you know how to use it. Wasting it on stagnant cycles isn't living, it's spinning. I didn't cut Lisa off, just stopped feeding the loop. Tom drifted when I quit playing therapist. Ellie's still around, but I don't dive in. It's not rejection, it's release. The reward? Freedom. Without Lisa's treadmill, I found friends who grow. People who take steps, not just size. Tom's absence freed me from futile fixes. Ellie's distance let me breathe. You don't see how much their loops weigh until you step off. And that space? It fills with progress, not pity. So where are you? Got someone stuck on repeat? Draining your care? Comment below. I'd love to hear how you've navigated it. If this strikes a chord, hit like and subscribe for more on building a life of motion and calm. Until next time, seek growth, ditch the loops, and keep your peace close. 9. Avoid people who boast excessively. Have you ever been around someone who can't stop talking about their glory days? Like every conversation is a highlight reel of their past, played on repeat? At first, it might seem impressive, even inspiring, but then you notice it's all they've got. Today, we're exploring the 9th sign it's time to rethink a relationship. Avoiding people who boast excessively. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When someone's stuck polishing old trophies to mask an empty present, it's not just shallow, it's a barrier to real connection. Let's dig into why this wears thin, how it shows up, and how to guard your peace. Picture this, you're chatting with someone, and no matter where the talk starts, it ends up in their Hall of Fame. They've got a story for everything. Awards they won, deals they closed, crowds they wowed, always delivered with a chest-puffing grin. You nod, you smile, maybe even admire them at first. But then it hits you, it's all past tense. They don't ask about you, don't share what's now. Just keep rewinding to their golden moments. It's not conversation, it's a performance, and you're just the audience. Over time, that shine fades, and you're left with a hollow feeling, like you're talking to a museum exhibit, not a person. I've seen this up close. Let me tell you about Greg, a guy I met through mutual friends. Greg was older, a former hotshot in sales, big titles, big wins, big reputation. First time we hung out, he regaled us with tales of his peak. Closed a $1 million deal in '98, got Salesman of the Year 3 times, had the corner office by 30. It was impressive, guy had game. I'd ask, what about now? He'd wave it off, oh, I'm just coasting. Those were the days. Fair enough, I thought. Everyone's got their stories. But every time after that, same script, same deals, same awards, same swagger. One night, we were at a bar, and I tried shifting it. What's keeping you busy these days? He blinked, then launched back. Well, back in '99, I outdid the whole team. I tuned out. It wasn't just boring, it was sad. Greg wasn't living, he was reliving. And worse, he didn't care about us, our lives, our wins. We were just mirrors for his faded glory. I left that night feeling disconnected, like I'd spent hours with a stranger who didn't see me. This isn't about knocking success. Past wins matter, they shape us, give us pride. But when someone's whole identity is a rearview mirror, it's a red flag. They're not sharing, they're boasting, and often it's a cover. That constant flexing hides a void, a present they're not proud of, a life they won't face. With Greg, it was clear he wasn't thriving now, so he clung to then. And that clinginess? It doesn't build bonds, it builds walls. Relationships need presence, not pageants. Why do they do it? Sometimes it's insecurity, they fear their current self doesn't measure up, so they lean on what once did. Other times it's ego, they need the applause even if it's just echoes. Greg seemed like both, stuck on past praise, dodging today's quiet. Intentional or not, it's a pattern. They flaunt to fill a gap, and you're left holding the spotlight, not a friendship. Let's root this in Stoic wisdom. Epictetus said, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. I couldn't change Greg's obsession, that was his lens. But I could change mine. I'd been seeing him as a mentor figure, someone to learn from. Wrong view. He wasn't teaching, he was performing. The Stoics teach us to focus on what's ours, our attention, our value. When someone's boasting drowns out the now, you don't have to keep clapping. So how does this look in your life? Maybe it's a friend who name drops their old achievements, college awards, big trips, while glazing over your updates. Or a relative who brags about back in my day at every dinner, deaf to your present. With Greg, it was relentless. Every chat circled back to his sales stats, his trophies. Another guy, my Uncle Ray, did it with sports, scored the winning goal in '85, never asking about my work or my kids. That's the sign. When their past overshadows your now, when they monologue instead of connect. Here's another take, my old classmate Mia. Reunions were her stage. Tales of her high school stardom, cheer Captain Glory, prom queen crown. First time, I was hooked. She was a legend, but every catch-up was identical. Same stories, same shine, no depth. I'd mention my job. She'd nod. Then, oh, that reminds me of senior year. It wasn't catching up. It was a time capsule. I'd leave feeling unseen, like my life was just a cue for her script. The cost? More than boredom, it's the shallowness, the disconnect, the slow fade of respect. With Greg, I dread his rants, knowing I'd get the same reel, knowing he wouldn't ask about me. Ray's sports sagas made family time a solo act. I'd tune out, resentful. Mia's replays turned fun nostalgia into a chore. It's not just tiring, it's isolating. You're not part of their story. You're a prop. Over time, it's not just the relationship that dims. It's your willingness to open up, to trust. So what do you do? First, spot the loop. Do they steer every talk to their past? Do they sidestep your life for their highlight reel? Greg's sales stats were clockwork. Ray's goals never aged. Mia's prom crown was eternal. Second, test it. Shift the focus, share something current, see if they bite. I asked Greg, "What's new with you?" Back to 98. Ray, "How's retirement?" Straight to 85. Mia, "What's up lately?" Prom again. If they won't pivot, you've got your hint. Next, set a boundary. Redirect, gently. "I'd love to hear about now. What's happening?" I told Greg, "Your past is cool, but what's today like?" He fumbled, then rewound. Ray got, "Let's skip the replay. What's new?" Same dodge. Mia, "High school's done. What's current?" No dice. If they cling. Greg did. Ray grumbled. Mia smiled through. It's their choice. You're not their biographer. Walking away is the last step, and it's subtle. Greg was a social fixture. Fading him out meant less group time, but less noise. Ray's family, so it's distance. Not a cut, short chats, no depth. Mia's a reunion ghost now, I nod. Don't linger. Here's the stoic truth. Seneca said, "No person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have." I couldn't make them live now, but I could stop wanting their past. It's not rejection, it's release. The reward? Depth. Without Greg's reruns, I found friends who share the present. People who ask, "What's your day like?" Ray's sidestepped for kin who connect now. Mia's echo faded for talks that flow both ways. You don't see how much their boasts stifle until you breathe free. And that space fills with real bonds, not relics. So what's your take? Got someone flexing their past nonstop? Comment below. I'd love to hear how you've handled it. If this rings true, hit like and subscribe for more on building a life of presence and calm. Until next time, live now, skip the reruns, and keep your peace close. And there you have it, 9 signs to guide you toward relationships that truly matter, and away from those that dim your light. Life's too precious to spend on connections that drain your spirit, and I hope this journey with stoic wisdom has given you the clarity to choose wisely. At ZenLight 8, we're all about growing together, turning challenges into strength and chaos into calm. So what's your next step? Drop a comment below. Share your story, your triumphs, or even just peacefulness to let me know you're with me. Your voice fuels this community. A huge thank you to every one of you watching. You're the heartbeat of ZenLight 8. If this spoke to you, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a chance to elevate your life. Check out the videos linked here for more insights to keep you moving forward. Until next time, stay true, stay strong, and keep your peace close. See you in the next one.